Okay, folks, welcome back. And got a few different things on here. But our typical cleanup. We have things encroaching on our areas or what have you. What's this doing here? Get back up here. Oh, here's the other colors. I thought I had more. I cleaned up some space up here. I gotta be careful. These are the two colors we're removing for that building over there. I don't want to get those confused. Not that I get color confused much. I get confused on other stuff, but not colors. I'm pretty good about that. I can't make all kinds of mistakes. I gotta limit the ones I make. Okay, so the tracks that we did first thing this morning, wasn't really happy with them. They're kind of shallow. I mean, they'll probably work okay, but they're pretty shallow. I'm going to go ahead and trim them up and see if it's just an optical delusion. That one may actually be okay. And I think we're going to need to use... Nah, they're not going to get sticky. They'll probably be okay. Alright, let's trim these up here. The extra track here for the Panzer IIIs. I wish I didn't block my own light that way. Just going to trim these up and then set them off to the side. I don't like that one at all. Because I'm going to have to cut these I'm going to have to cut some thickness off of them, which is easy to do, but I don't want to do them with ones that aren't super cured. Yeah, I think they actually look okay. I would just think it was an optical delusion that there was all this extra stuff on it. Made it look like they were sorry. Yeah, these actually look just fine. Sometimes you got to give things a chance. You jump to conclusions too soon. These look like crap. Oh, wait a second. No, they don't. All right, Hellcat. We need to look at the pictures that we saved on our phone yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. It might have been the day before. is we're going to paint some numbers on them. Let's see. Here we go. White letter on black background. Black letter on a white background. Black letter on yellow background. Oh, I kind of like that. Because what it'll do is, we're going to put a number back here. That'll fill in some of that space there. No, I didn't want to click on that. Okay. And if we do the same thing up here, that'll help fill in that space as well. In this example, it's a pair of 2s, 2-2. So let's wife's flight got delayed. Yeah, I don't want it white with the numbers. Let's try the yellow. Okay, platoon 1, 2, 3, tank 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Well, let's try it. Let's try it. If I hate how it looks, I'll just repaint it. But we need to do that before we do the weathering. All right. So we're going to do yellow. So we're going to paint brown. And is this chocolate brown? No, leather brown. Leather brown will work just fine. Leather brown worked just fine. And what beautiful yellow we're going to use. Man, we should do this. This is old school yellow. Sunburst yellow, circa 19... I don't know. I was going to say Reagan might have been president when I bought this one, but it's close. It's close. Let's get a new one of these. Nope, we're not going to use a wet palette. We ain't got time for that. But what I will do is, since we're kind of waiting for this to happen anyways, I'm going to go ahead and put a black base color on this on the fitty. The tree fitty. Let's unscrew this. I know what I'm looking for. Oh, it's because I took my brushes down here. They were encroaching on my space. Let's use something relatively big. This stuff's self-leveling, so we literally can slop this on. Okay. Let this joker. Let that joker dry. Alright. This forces me to multitask, even though I hate multitasking, and I'm not good at it. And I don't want to be good at it. Okay. Yellow, huh? Okay. Brown first. But first, brown. And like I said, if I don't like how it turns out, well then I'll do something different with it. All right, how big are those numbers? Not huge, but it looks like it goes all the way to the end. And it's about maybe twice as long as it is tall. So, with that said, let's remove the turret for now. It's about that wide. So something like that. I may not like how this looks. But it's an opportunity to paint something glorious. So you can't make all just the German vehicles interesting. All right, now the one on the turret is something like this. Sometimes there's an opportunity to add some color to something that otherwise might look drab. Now, I really like the yellow stars, but they only used them in Tunisia, and that's kind of a theater that I haven't gotten involved in, and probably won't for quite some time. All these brushes are cheap. Cheap ass brushes. And the thing about cheap ass brushes, if you've got one that's misbehaving, trim it. Sometimes they already came disheveled looking. Okay, so those areas are going to be yellow. Now, that's ready to apply. That one's ready to apply. So's that one, and so's that one. So we'll start here in the order that we painted them in. Sunburst yellow from Citadel. We won't call this Games Workshop. We'll call this Citadel, because this is back when that's how all this stuff was referred to as. So the intention is, hello. The intention is we're going to brighten this up, not all the way to the full yellow. Okay, we're gonna stop short. We're gonna paint the numbers in black, and then we're going to go the rest of the way around the black numbers and get them to 3D in your face. That's how I roll. It is an old paint pot. So I go and add this, and it's like, I'll be damned if that's not almost the same background color as I painted over with the brown. Well, the brown really was there just to kind of allow you to paint this in the first place. Oh. I kill me. Okay, and let's do the same thing over here. Old paint pot. It's a paint container. I don't smoke marijuana. I do coke. By the fact that you're on at 3:30, I take it the ladies away for the weekend. Well, my lady is super cool when it comes to me working on this hobby. You hear that? No, she's not here. She's out of town. She's out of town for the weekend, and I like to paint because painting, first of all, I get something accomplished. Second of all, if I'm busy, it's kind of hard to eat the house. Okay? And yeah, it's too easy to eat the house. So I'm probably going to paint. I'd like to paint for over an hour. But I went grocery shopping. Stuff I got to do anyways. I found out what time not to go grocery shopping when I was there. It was like, it was a shit show. It was a shit show just trying to get through the aisles. All right, now we've gone all the way around, and it's likely that I'm going to draw a little box around these things to get it to pop a little bit more. And we're going to bring it up yet another level, okay? I'm not ready to do that yet. Let's go to about this. The daughter's back in college. She's been in college now for a couple weeks, and yeah, I mean, you know, if we're not doing anything, I can do this. It's not a, you know, the only thing I don't do is I don't like to paint while she's here, because if I get on, I don't want to get on for like 30 minutes unless I'm falling asleep, you know, because it takes a while for you guys to come in, and I don't want you guys to come in and, hey, Frank, thanks for coming in, and the next thing you know, I'm leaving, you know. I'm enjoying the new house. The yeah, I mean, like I said, we moved because this opportunity came, because this is the wrong time to buy a house. I think every day is probably a worse day to buy a house, but we had an opportunity that fell in our lap that we would have been foolish not to act on. And things at the other neighborhood were already going kind of sideways, and we weren't really in control. And you know, we just had this opportunity; it just fell in our lap. So this is a little lime yellow. Let's do the same thing over here. If we didn't act on this, this opportunity would have never happened again in our lives, probably. So, we sold our house for a lot more than it's worth. And of course, you have to buy a house that costs a lot more than it's worth. So it's kind of like, unless you're sitting on like 20 houses and you're like, okay, sell them, and you sell them all, you're making like a bandit. But, you're overselling, but then you're also overpaying. So, the benefit is we were able to assume a mortgage at a rate that'll never be available. We had a really good rate at the other house, which is a rate that'll never be available again, and this is like half the rate of that. I mean, it was just like it would have been stupid not to. But we weren't really looking to move, so it just kind of happened. All right, now we're done with that. Now, I know it's going to be transparent-ish, and that's okay. Let's try. There's still some paint on here, which is okay. Let's add a little bit of water. I know it's going to make it even more transparent, but we need to be able to work this. Oh, we have an insolent bristle. Okay, there we go. So one of the things when you have a kid, it's important what schools you're zoned for and stuff. But now that you don't have a kid, it's not important. So, not that she's not in the high school age anymore. So, not that we were living somewhere we didn't want to live. But I wouldn't want her going to this redneck school. I'm just saying. Which is right over here. I'm proudly from the South, but I'm not Southern. Think about that for a little bit. Thank you. I'm going to add a new candidate in here. And we're going to add green ochre. Because this is going to add some opaqueness. There we go. Is our university very far away? It is about 2 hours. So not really. It's more of the interstate driving to and from than the actual distance. Oh yeah, yeah. This is what we want. This is what we want, and then we're probably going to stop right here and do the numbers, and then we'll go in and fill in with the true yellow in between. The true yellow. And I may not like how this looks. I might be like, this just looks crazy, because it is kind of a unique scheme. But if I get more of these Hellcats, I'm not painting them all like the same unit. I mean, it's an opportunity to paint some different stuff. We need more of this. So we went down there for Labor Day last weekend. And my War Games show, I'm not staying on property in Orlando. We're going to stay at a resort-like hotel, and then she's supposed to come spend the weekend with me. So I'm just gonna go to the show in the morning, and then the afternoon and the evenings. I may just get tired of gamers and just like not go. I want to go for the flea market. That's really it. I think a Southern accent has to be one of the most unfortunate ones. You could be an absolute genius, but no one will believe it with a deep Southern accent. There's a lot of accents that are bad. A lot of them. There is a channel that got recommended to me many years ago because I'm into firearms and stuff like that. Not like, target shooting. I don't hunt or anything like that. And there's this one girl who does this, and she's absolutely beautiful. I mean, she's okay. She's really cute, but she looks like a normal cute person. Okay, so it's not like a movie star or anything, but she's really, really cute. And she's from Alabama, and I've lived in Alabama, and not everybody in Alabama has a heavy, heavy accent. She has an extremely heavy accent that makes her, in my opinion, seem not very intelligent. But she's extremely attractive, and people will comment on her page, man, I love your accent. I'm like, I do not like your accent. You're really attractive, but anyhow, so it just depends on, I've always grown up in the South, and there's a little bit of I don't know that I have an accent. If I hang around the right people or the wrong people, I'll pick things up. My wife will say, who the heck did you hang out with? Because you're starting to use this word, because I'm a morpher, but there's a lot of accents that are unattractive in the United States. There's a lot of accents in the UK that are unattractive. So, in my opinion. But, yeah, I morph. My wife is from Miami, and she's the only person from Miami that I know that doesn't have a Miami accent. Thank you, Jesus, because that's not a good one. Okay, that's looking pretty freaking hot. That's looking really hot. Uh-oh. You have what I think of just generic US, at least to an outsider. I think I do as well. Thank you. Where are you? Are you in Australia? Or no trace of a Hispanic accent at all? Well, I'm born here. I don't understand why people have an accent and they're born in the United States and they've always. I just don't understand it, You're in Australia or New Zealand? I don't know what a New Zealand accent sounds like. I don't like all Australian accents. Some of you guys sound rednecky. Oh man, Sydney. Yeah, I know two people pretty well from Australia, and they don't have a bad accent at all. So hey, just when you think somebody doesn't have a bad accent, other people might find that attractive. Somebody was telling me that they really like a Southern accent. I was surprised. I'm like, I don't really like that. No, I don't like people that sound like from Brooklyn either. So that's very unattractive. Some of us sound just as dumb as Alabama. There you go. I know. You know what I'm talking about, but as a general rule, an Australian accent is just an Australian accent. It's not like, just like people in the UK. There's some rough folks out there. Let's cover this one more time in this. I'm not a fan of people that speak the English language and have to use subtitles to know what the hell they're saying. And that could be, people in the United States or other countries as well. If I got to use subtitles to understand what the hell you're saying, man, this looks good. Well, I don't know if I'm going to like the look, but I mean, as far as the coverage on the yellow, it looks good. Some of us sound as dumb as Alabama, and there's worse accents than Alabama. Oh man. All right, let's get some enumeration. Oh, let's cover the Holy Grail here. We're gonna need it in a second, but we don't want this thing to dry out. This is vintage, baby. God, it really is kind of in your face, isn't it? What do you think? Well, if it can look good, I'll be able to pull it off. I just don't know if it'll look good to begin with. Does the 2 have any brakes in it? Does not look like it. Okay. Let's get a brush we have ultimate confidence in. And Les Black. Les Noirs. Hey! I speak a little French. You know how I speak? I speak Blitzkrieg German. I only speak surrender French. No, I'm not going to go there. I don't really believe that way. You guys know that. Do the vehicles for the period have unit brigade markings? Will we be going that specific? I'm going to keep it generic because first of all, I've only done it on a couple of German units, and I want to keep it kind of generic. The U.S. armored vehicle markings suck. Sorry, they do. They do. Even the logos of the divisions are they were developed by somebody who obviously was blind. The triangle with the 3 different color, it looks dumb as hell. And like the U.S. Armored Division has a 1, and the second has the same thing but a 2, maybe a little. It's just like, come on, man. The British and the Germans got it right. I don't like all the British divisions, but most of them are okay. Most of them are pretty good, just like I don't like all the German ones. But when I was doing 1/35th scale modeling, I was big on doing Grossdeutschland for the Germans because they have the helmet. It's not too offensive. It's unique. It's the only unit that has that. The ones I have done, I like the 1/16th Panzer with the running Greyhound. I've got the Trident with the 2nd Panzer Division for those. If I do Africa Corps, I don't like the 21st. That D, I didn't like getting a D in school. Why would I paint it? You know. But no, I'm going generic, and I don't want to do all the nomenclature of the writing and that stuff. It's tedious, and it's just not worth my time. I don't know that we need flow aid for this. Ooh, what happened here? Que paso? Let's neutralize this. All right. A pair of twos, huh? I'm gonna put one drop of this stuff. See if I need it. Just for smoothness. What's all this notification? Rain likely to start. Okay. I hope so. We could use the rain. All right, let's go back to the 2. Let's move this out of the way. I don't like the 1 because it doesn't even look like it's a number. Like if you look at this one up here, look at this one, it's has a 1-1. I didn't even know that was a number. So I'd rather do 2-2. It's kind of obvious what a 2 stands for. So. And they go almost all the way to the top of the yellow. That's kind of unusual. I may have to use artistic discretion and just cut it short a little bit. But we want the dash in the middle. So I'm going to actually start with the dash. And the 2's curl a little bit. Yeah, this is catching on the paint. So we're going to clean that up some. Main thing is get it into position and you can clean it up as you need to. Nope. Now I did make one kind of mistake. Using the same number right next to each other means that they need to look kind of the same right next to each other. So if that doesn't work, we'll wipe it down, put a 1 there, maybe a 1-2 instead. But I can make them look close enough together that I'll be happy with it. we'll come back and tinker with that. Let's do the same thing with the 2s on this side. Or should I just punt and change it to 1, 2? I think I'm going to do that. Oh my God. Hold on 1 second. So, every convenience comes with an inconvenience. The convenience is a refill on my medicine. If you have it automatic, those motherfuckers will constantly bomb you with shit all the time. And I just got like a notification, hey, it's ready for refill. And within the last 15 minutes, I've gotten 2 texts and a phone call wanting me to pick up the freaking prescription. And it's just, it's just regular kind of nothing extraordinary. Like, man, just leave me the fuck alone, man. No, I'm not going to go pick it up today. I'm not making a separate trip to go by there. I thought it was a deformed 101. Looked like the white was the number in that one. The 1 was ugly. Yeah, let's do that. It's not stressful. I'm not stressful. I think I've had too many. I think I've had too much caffeine. This is much better. That's much better. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. And I can tell that I need to cut some of the yellow down. And I'm going to cut it off of this side over here. So I'm not going to use all of it. How much meat's on the other side of the 1? About like that? Okay. Put kind of a big gap, and then the 2. All right, now we're going to clean Now, before I do that, let's go ahead and cover this up so it can be drying. Yeah, that actually looks pretty decent, other than the two parts. So we're going to remove that 2, and we're going to put a 1 over it. Yeah, and it looks good. It looks, you got to give it some personality. You can't just make all the German vehicles cool. You know, it's like, yes, the German vehicles are cooler than these things, but, you know, we're going to have a nickname. You know, we're going to have a nickname here on the side. You know, give it some individuality. You know, even the Russian stuff, you can make it interesting. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Sometimes you just have to just jump in and just paint your way out. Let's give me a little bit of this. Donde está el color? I don't care if it gets contaminated. This thing should have died already. It's going to take a little time for this to dry out, so. Okay. Now, while that's drying, and this one we're going to cut that down a little bit, which is another thing I can be working on. Olive drab base. What an ugly color. The British color is so much nicer. So much nicer. Now, I've said it before. The Commonwealth take vehicles that are unattractive and they make them look better with their unit markings and their paint schemes. They just look a lot better to me. Don't have to take much off. Heck, that may be it. We'll just frame it a little bit with a little darker color, and I really don't like this running all the way up against the bottom. So I'm going to paint a little edge. That looks better. That looks a lot better. Careful not to tuck the backside and undo everything I did. Yeah, I got too much caffeine in me. I can feel it. Not jittery, it's just kind of like antsy. There we go. It's not with this hand, it's the other hand. There we go. Nice. There we go. And we're probably going to do the same thing here. We're probably going to put the tiniest of borders on the front, on all the ends, because it'll look better than not running all the way to the end. But we'll do that afterwards. Okay? It's going to take a couple. It took 4 or 5 coats on it. Well within my skill set. Hello from Tucson, Arizona. Welcome. The land of, I don't care if you fall back or spring forward. We're staying on our own damn time. I wish the rest of the country would follow your suit. Tucson. Come on, man. Hello from the land of Orale. You know, when I went to Colorado, I'm like, oh man, Colorado's going to have lots of steak and potatoes and, you know, meat. And I'm like, it was ate up with Mexican food places. So I can't imagine what Arizona is. The outback of America. Is it? Or is that more like Nevada or something like that? Haven't been to Arizona yet. You guys are way out there, man. You gotta drive through a whole lot of Texas, like all of it, to get out there. All right, let's do that dash in the middle. Okay, we got basically the shape where we need it to be. Now we need to play catch up with this side. But I haven't been to the Panhandle of Florida, and it's right next door. It's too hard to take time off of work. I'd like to go out there. I like I like that part of the country. I mean, I like the West and stuff like that. And I don't even watch Westerns. I'd love to go horseback riding out there with like a rifle or something. This. Chimichangas. I love chimichangas. You know, I don't really like Mexican food. I like Tex-Mex food. I don't like Mexican food because some of the times it lacks sazon. And Tex-Mex does not lack sazon. And Tex-Mex has a lot of cumin, and I love cumin. And it's not about being hot. I like hot food. You know, spicy. Oh yeah. I love chimichangas. Do tornadoes make it in the far west? Dirt devils, I'd imagine. But I like the West because the West is new, and that's what I'm used to. I'm used to things being new. I'm not used to like going to places that are like 200 years old. I don't know. In Europe is like insane old, but I'm talking about, I'm used to like everything around here is new. Because none of it was built before they discovered air conditioning. It's like, who the hell would want to live here? I mean, I love Florida, but man, it's too hot. It's too hot. I should have wiped both numbers down off. Bah! I don't know. It looks pretty good, man. Looks pretty good. We're not finished weathering it. We haven't even started weathering it. We're on the south side of the Rockies, so no tornadoes, just dust devils. South side of the You mean you're on the... No, the Rockies kind of disappear there, don't they? Yeah, the Rockies kind of like end. I mean, it's still hilly. And then they pick up in Mexico. I never really thought about that. Okay. One more coat, maybe. Nope, need more of the other color. I like chimichangas. I don't like, as a general rule, I don't like if I'm going to order off the menu, like if I'm at your house and you're making whatevers, yeah, I'm going to eat them. But if you're going to let me choose, I'm not going to pick enchiladas because enchiladas are too wet. You end up like chasing that food all over the place. There's too much wastage. I much prefer a chimichanga. Yeah, Sydney. We have some days last summer 118. I love it. You're using Fahrenheit temperature. Yes. I hate Celsius temperature. I am pro metric, except temperature. It is just. I can't. I gotta do math in my head. Oh, it makes more sense because the boiling. Yes, but really, in reality, you only use 0 to 45, right? You don't ever talk about it's something is 65 degrees centigrade. No, it's not. That doesn't exist. Like 70 degrees centigrade. That's like nearly boiling. It's like, or on its way to boiling. It's like it's not a useful temperature. It's not a useful number. So you basically took the number line of useful temperatures and cut it down by a lot. That's all. Yeah, here for the first week of spring already had 88. But I like meters. I like meters a lot. My war games are in meters. I like meters. I like millimeters for things. It's useful for cooking. What the fuck is cooking? That's for people that don't paint. Come on, man. Oh, I can't finish this. I got something cooking on the. No, I don't. I ain't got time for that. I don't cook, and I cook more than my dad ever did. And the thing is I'd probably be pretty decent at it. It's just not worth my time. It's a whole lot of work for, and you're done. Like a wood chipper. I already got the body shape for somebody that cooks well. That, right? Don't trust a chef that's skinny. Cubans don't do asado. I'm not as Cuban as you think I am. I went on a vacation a couple years ago with my wife's brother and his friends from Miami. And we go and rented a house in Mexico. And somehow in the middle, like the week, he told me, he said, "Man, you're awfully gringo." Like it was some kind of an insult. And I'm like, "Thank you." In the 1970s in the UK, Fahrenheit was normally used. So it went to shit on your watch, Jeffrey. So that you would have temperature of 80 degrees Fahrenheit being a scorcher, since the mid-80s would be described as 32 degrees centigrade. Yeah, my Boppy, yeah. That's exactly what I called him, Boppy. Yeah. Yeah, he was the first person in my family that ever went to college, that went to university. He was a civil engineer. But hell, he was longer in the U.S. by a long shot than he was ever in Cuba, because he came over like at 35 years old. So good thing. Okay, this is looking pretty decent. No, it's a cafe. It's empty. I'm really good about not spilling beverages because I'm like I drink a lot. So odds are if I leave it for a while, it's empty. Kind of hard to spill something that's empty. All right. That looks pretty good. And that looks pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this mixture and we're going to clean up. Let's get this green ochre, which is probably what I would have been inclined to use as Dunkelgelb, because it seems about right to my eye. That is mein Dunkelgelb. Let's clean up that too. There we go. Not really cleaning it up, making it neater. Yep. Now we're cooking. See, I do cook. We're not cooking. All right, I'm going to take, let's get the, this, and I'm probably going to need to go up a brush size, because it'll be a million brush strokes with that one. So, this has a little tip. Yeah, that should work. You're painting 28 millimeter Austrian Napoleonic infantry right now. We've got ideal temps in the southern UK at the moment. 69 is perfect as far as I'm concerned. Outside, winter here is perfect. So I love it. I love going outside, and it's like, I like it when it's 60 degrees inside without air conditioning running. So, you know, perfect for me would be in the 40s. 40s, 50 degrees. I love wearing long sleeves. I love wearing long sleeves. Just feel more put together. And, but it's hard to find days to do it. But what ends up happening is when you get that temperature in the 40s or whatever, everybody turns into a pussy and they run the heater everywhere. And the heater is brutal. I'd rather be hot than them running the damn heater, because that just burns all the humidity out, and I'm like dying. Okay. What the hell hit the ground? All right, let us clean this up. Not clean this up, but add more brightness to it. There we go. I know yellow's hard to paint, but I really like painting yellow because it makes me happy. When I painted those medieval Germans, that was fun. Austrians use yellow. Okay, that's pretty good. And we're going to do the same thing over here. And then we're probably going to add a little bit of white to zip it up a little bit. Okay, and let's do the same thing here. I think I should be able to do it with this big ass brush. Now, let's add that tiny little bit of white. Nope, it's already here. (99°F). So it's cooler outside. It's 99 inside? Do I have a lot of gators near you? I've lived in Florida, let's just say my whole life, okay? So I've lived in the same area since 1981. And I've only lived in Alabama, northern Alabama, for 3 years. And then the rest of it was in somewhere else in Florida. I have never come across a gator when I wasn't looking for one. So yeah, they're everywhere, but they're in places you don't want them to be. You know, like I've been to the ocean many times. I've never encountered a shark. I have encountered more snakes than anything else, and I am not a snake hater. I've encountered one poisonous snake. Venomous, sorry. It's the Calvary thing that I do. I don't say Calvary, but I do say poisonous when I mean to say venomous. So, there's a special place in hell for me, but it's a lot cooler than the place where the people say Calvary. Only once, only one venomous snake ever that I encountered it on it. And I don't dislike snakes, other than they just startle the hell out of you. And they're so damn fast for not having any legs. So gators aren't really in built-up areas. I don't live near a golf course. Look at that. That's going to look good. I'll show you an up-close picture when we get better. When we get done with this. I just got to be careful I don't touch it again. And I'm probably going to clear coat it before I do anything else, so I don't accidentally mess it up. What I'm scared of is hogs. That's what I'm scared of is hogs, because you can have a firearm with you, and if it doesn't have enough ass, you can't drop a hog if it comes after you. So, now I'm not in the woods and stuff often, well, at all really, but we had one that was at work. It was outside the gate at work, and yeah. Like bears. I would not want to go to Colorado in the summertime. Unarmed. Like on a trail? Absolutely not. There's no way. Oh, bear spray. Okay. Yeah, I'll carry the bear spray too. And then I'll carry a shotgun with fully automatic? No. A semi-automatic shotgun with slugs. And the bear spray, but and I don't go looking for animals, but if you encounter one, what do you freaking do? Let's take a picture of this. Are gators good eating? Tastes like chicken. Kind of like cross between chicken and fish. Yeah, it's probably pretty accurate. I've so many people throughout the years. Hey, you want to go hunting? No. I mean, they've got food in the grocery store. You know. This looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. At least it's a start. Let me show you up close and personal so you can see all my errors. Hey, I'm not scared. Gives it a little bit of color. More colorful than my Shermans. We'll use little boys' room. I'll be right back. Yeah, and bears are a problem because they're smart. And they climb trees better than you do, so you can't go up a tree. That's like, hey, there's a dragon, let me climb in his mouth. He'll never look there. Battle of Pavia. Lens Connect, man, did I paint enough of those guys? When I was painting man, I said that name over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. The lens connects. Oh. All right, we're gonna wait for this to dry a little bit, and then we're going to coat this in something so that I don't like scuff it up by accident. I'm not worried about dry brushing over it. I just don't want to scuff it up and like, oops. So where is my Vallejo matte? You mean Vallejo? Yes, Vallejo. Is it here? Matte varnish. Do I want to put a little board around it? Well, I don't have to decide that right now. It's mainly to keep these colors down. Ah, yes, the laundry. It's like a shittiest ice cream truck. Okay, and then we will do the same thing over here. Shit, I might as well do it over the decals too. Fuck it, I'm here. I mean, I'm gonna seal the whole thing in it, but decal how it is. Okay. Thought your rice cooker was saying lunch is ready. Bit late for that. That would constitute cooking. That's how I have made rice before. Okay. So we need to, that has to dry. What else is left to be done on here? We've got a couple of seats. We're not going to fool with those. We're going to do black lining on it as well. That's going to be the biggest difference. And some of these Hellcats almost had a sleeve on them, almost like a battleship. And you could mold that on there if you wanted to. But I need to make heads or tails out of the engine deck because there's some steps from the 3D printing that I don't want to accentuate. I want those to be more subtle than they already are. So, but we do that stuff after we dry brush anyways. I think that if I just, this will be drying. You know what? It'll be dry in a second. We're going to go ahead and start on it and do those sections last. U.S. Field Drab. That's my first color. I had no idea that people were so adamant about, don't put your tanks on stands! I'm like, don't tell me what to fucking do, man. I don't tell other people what to do. Don't tell me what to do. You're not going to get any traction from it. And I'm armed! Don't tell me what to do. Seriously, I don't tell other people what to do. Do whatever you want, man. That's the beauty of freedom. You're participating the mini War Mutt painting challenge. ¿Qué es eso? What's that? Mini, you have to paint a little dog or something? Or is that some guy that's his handle? And why doesn't he use his real name? What's he hiding from? That'd be funny if somebody's name was War Mutt and they hated dogs. I doubt that's the case. Pretty sure it's a dog person. War Mutt, 2 T's. What was that cartoon dog that would laugh emphysema like? How's it go? Muttley? I think that's what it was. Old Hanna-Barbera evil dog thing. You know what I'm talking about. Unless you're a young punk. Anyways, if I had to do Napoleonics, I'd do Austrians. I got a soft spot for the Austrian. I got a soft spot for Habsburg stuff. Muttley, yeah. Oh. Mini War Mutt is a YouTube channel from Phoenix, Arizona. Oh, one of your local guys. It's a no-brainer. If you're basing your infantry, you need to base your tanks to make them fit in. Also, some vehicles need the support of a base. It's a no-brainer for me too. I'm 50-50 on the vehicles. If some vehicles didn't have to be on bases, I could see it going either way. But somebody posted, who is it? They were a really good painter. And they painted, in the last week, they posted a bunch of pictures from their Normandy game. And it looked great. Except that they doctored all the pictures up. Like they did they cleaned up all the stands so they're not on clans. On clans? So they're not on, so it looks like they're not on stands. I don't really like that. I mean, people can do whatever they want, but you're basically showing people a fictitious reality. You know, the only time I ever clean up pictures is I will do like auto, just so because sometimes I'll I'll take a picture, and it doesn't look like what I see because of like the light. You need lots of light, and I call it kickback. You know, it's too bright, so you need to like unwash it out. That's it. But I don't go and doctor it. It's fine if you want to do it, but you know. But this painter was, I don't know who they were. They were on one of the umpteen sites I subscribed to, but it was excellent painting. And they took some of the things and made them black and white. I'm like, I don't want to see black and white footage. I mean, if I like black and white, I can just watch black and white newsreels. Perfect. Just a little bit of dusting on there. Remember, we still have to do Iraqi sand, so if you go super heavy on this, you're still going to have to do Iraqi sand, so leave yourself some room for and these 3D printing lines really bug me. I've just kind of I took a pill for that, and I'm okay now. No, I see it because I'm all up in it. But when you're far away, you know, the alternative is not have any of these vehicles because they're so damn hard to come by. You know, I don't know what it is. It's just so damn hard to come by these things. I've always had a soft spot for Saxony. If you like to paint white uniforms, try the Austrians. I'm extremely partial to eagles on flags. Mexican flag notwithstanding. Is that what I want to say? I don't necessarily mean the Mexican flag, is what I meant to say. And yes, I like lions too. Hey Mark, welcome back. Tony, saw your Jeep and half track. They look fantastic. Well, I'm just a painter, man. You know, part of me is, you know, I took drafting and stuff like that. If I had the right personality type, which I don't, I would take drawings and make some of my, but I mean, it's like, if I do that, I can't paint anything. There's only so much time I can do that's not, we only have so much of a life left when we're not at work. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with them. I'm pretty happy with it turned out. I hope this will turn out well as well. Now, we're going to just do the bottom of this. This will pick up some dirt. Not crazy, just a little bit. And the bottom here. Come on. There we go. And if you're going to put a part of it that's going to be really filthy, it's going to be the back. All this will just churns up all this dirt and stuff on here. All right. Now, Iraqi sand. Which actually looks like a very warm color. But if it was more towards white, then I would, it'll end up washing everything out. Let's get it almost all off. And then start with a running gear. So if you screw up and put too much, it's on a place that's full of dirt anyways. Now in reality, the dirt would stay in the crevices more and it would be cleaner on the outside. But that's counterintuitive to how things look, and you're unable to see them at a distance. So, just like I was saying before, tires I do backwards. You know, tires the dirt would collect in the crevices of the tire, but when you dry brush the lighter color, the crevices actually stay darker. But that looks right, even though it's maybe not 100% accurate. Or maybe it's the opposite of how it should be. And these are the colors on the stand that I use. So it will tie the vehicle into the stand, into the environment that the vehicle's operating in. Hey, it works for me. If you have a different way of doing it, that's fine. You know, I'm not here to convert anybody. I'm not, there's no hills here for me to die on. You know? It's like somebody said, you know, you get people that'll say things on the internet. I'm going to die on this hill. Well, I'm not going to your funeral. I don't really care. The Mexican flag has an eel clawing a snake. I think it's awesome. It is. It looks weird in between the other two colors. You did counting a Humber Snipe hardtop for North Africa and a 3-tone camel Opal Blitz omnibus partridge family looking thing. You know, I saw that omnibus, and the first thing I think of is they use several of those, like in Berlin, as like roadblocks. I feel like somebody makes one of those. That's actually a really good looking vehicle, the omnibus. Partridge family bus. You're blocking the road. You tell that Danny Baraducci, get that thing off the road. Oh, man. I never really watched that show growing up. Too much singing. Hell, that show was off by the time I watched it. Same thing with the Brady Bunch. Same type of shows. I just don't know if that show was like the Brady Bunch where everybody was doing each other. Which that probably happens all the time. But you know, you don't want to hear about stuff like that when you're a kid. That's like weird, you know? It's weird as an adult. In this TV show, I play the son, but in real life, I'm doing the mom. What? Go away. The Maltier, yeah, they look pretty cool, man. Just got a type 1, ho-ha, ho-ha. I've got one, dude. I've got a Honey. Honey, I'm home. But I'm not even sure who this one is by. I picked this up at a flea market. Oh, I don't know who it's by. How about I read? How about I read the label that's on the package? It's Frontline. It's not very good. I have a Hago, another Hago. There's the Honey. Honey, I'm home. So, if I do the Pacific, let's talk about the Pacific. And I'm ignorant. I'm not ignorant of the Pacific, but compared to Europe, I'm handicapped when it comes to the Pacific, as far as history and stuff like that goes. Oh shit! A piece broke off of it. Maybe it was already that way. Battle damage. No, it wasn't from this, because it didn't hit the ground. Okay. Yeah, Frontline. These aren't very good. Yeah, they got. I would rather have printer lines than bubbles, than resin bubbles. Anyways, let's talk the Pacific. If I had to do the Pacific, I don't want to do as much as I like the Marine figures made by Combat Miniatures. I don't want to do Marine stuff because it's like it's just way too outnumbered. Unless you have everybody play Marines, then it'd probably be okay. But I don't want to do naval gunfire support and shit like that. So I'm like, what about the Philippines in '44? I really don't know anything about it. Now, Osprey makes several books on the Philippines. I've come really close to pulling the trigger on them. But I think the U.S. troops that were in the Philippines in 1944 was Army. There was no Marines there. Yeah, this is a little... I don't know if that's a 47 or 75. I think it's a 75. Anyways, people that think Shermans suck, go to the Pacific, and the Sherman is basically a King Tiger. Yeah, that's my... is it in here? The piece? I don't know where it is. I already have one painted. It's not sealed, but it's painted. And I think it turned out really well. And it's a really rough miniature. So I don't know. And it's only because there's an opportunity to do some tank stuff there in the Philippines. I'm there with you. General MacArthur fight in retaking the Philippines is where it's at. Oh, interesting. I don't know. I don't know anything about MacArthur, and I just finished recently reading I do a lot of books on Audible, and the Killing series by Bill O'Reilly is. I mean, there's inaccuracies in them, but at least they get your juices flowing in your brain. And the one on the Pacific one was really interesting, and I really don't know anything about him, and it was like I came back like fascinated, like to learn about something that. But yeah, I think that would be interesting. I think that would be interesting. So maybe at some point, we can do that. Now this looks like it needs some oomph, and it does. So the oomph it's going to need is we're going to do what I call scratches and scrapes, which I didn't do on the Jeeps, and I can go back and do them if I needed to. I forget to do this frequently. So we're going to get the base color, which is olive drab base. Go figure. And we're going to put some of that here. Then we're going to use our lightener. Which is dark sand. I think I got this idea from another painter. And I think he's Australian. And we're going to lighten it up some. And we're going to test it somewhere here that because we need to be kind of close. And we're just going to do some different markings. Highlight things even more maybe that need it. And then paint some incongruencies, things that don't, so it doesn't look like it's all, finished. I don't like doing chipping, but I do like doing this. And it just adds, I don't know, a little bit of personality to it. And it's easy enough to do. And you can even go over, say, part of the decal where maybe it's dirty or what have you. I don't do these crazy washes, and it's just not. That's a detail too far. And then we'll make like little latches and stuff pop, so you can see them 3 feet away. But it would have been natural for me to have used adding white to this. Well, what ends up happening is you end up washing the model out. So we're going to make sure that these little lines stand out. The best example I can think of, you're painting like a Panzer II, okay? The top of the turret of a Panzer II has all these intricate little slope changes, and doing something to it so that it stands out, it doesn't look like a flat piece of metal, is just adding extra little panache to it. And all you're doing is just making things stand out that you'd probably see with your naked eye. And we still have the seats to do in there, that's fine. Now the gun on the 76 is actually sitting at a 45-degree angle. I think the Firefly is the same way, unless it's at 90. But the Firefly is definitely, the 17-pounder is in at an angle. And they had to do that to fit it in the damn turret. So it's either that or you don't get a 17-pounder. How about you put one in there and we learn to deal with it? Exactly. Japanese get looted M3 Stewarts. Oh man, the New Guinea campaign is interesting since this joint allied campaign. I agree. Yeah, I agree. New Guinea is. But naturally, it would be, other than lack of choices, I would love to do Indians versus Japanese. Man, I'd have a field day with that. But I need to read up. I'm a while till I'm going over there. Oh man, yeah, the turret looks a lot better than the body. Well, let's bring the body up the spec. And I really like doing this because I get to enjoy the sculpting, or in this case, the 3D printing that was put into this model, because I'm literally having to Put detail in places I want for them to pop. I don't know how to do on the rear deck. There's a lot of stuff back there that you can see and maybe you shouldn't be able to see. I'll have to consult my my book. I'm pretty sure these two are grading along with that. So we're going to do a dark wash on that. And that'll look nice. This is the fuel cap, or the oil cap, or both, or neither. But that's common to be on the back. These little nibs, what'd you call me? This little thing out here, we're going to make them pop. And this is asking to have its little headlights painted. But I much prefer to do this with liner brushes. I feel like you can just get a lot better control with that. Anywhere there's a hard edge, you want to make that stand out. Alright, now what I like to say is, let me step away so I can see what I'm looking at. Alright, now, let's make it all come together. Let me see if I can find a picture of the rear deck of an M18 Hellcat. All three of those are vents. Okay. And that's got to be a vent also. Got to be. Made by Buick, not Cadillac. And if you must play World of Tanks, it's a fun game to play. It's a fun vehicle to play in World of Tanks, because they can get some places quick. Although World of Tanks is like World of Warships, it's hokey. But at least you get to see stuff in action. Although I like World of Warships better, even though I've spent no real money on it. Here's a link to my interview with James at MTC about who I am when you have time. Okay, where's the link? Is it on YouTube? I'll check it out. I'll probably check it out today. About who you are. Okay. Now, let's take this to the next level. Do the heavy stuff first. We're going to make this nice and dark. It helps stand out too. Okay, and this is a vent. And this is a vent. And so is this one. Okay, and I'm probably going to give it a second coat so it's even darker. Now I'm going to drop some of this dark color down here in the bottom. And yeah, it would run what it would work better if it was enamel, but I don't like using stinky enamels, and I don't want to seal this thing before I do all of it. You know, I already paint plenty slow. I'm not looking for ways to slow down my process even more. Not everywhere, just in the floorboard area, which really it wouldn't have a floorboard. That would go all the way to the bottom. Okay, we'll let that settle a little bit. All right, that's the only stuff that I think is really, really big. Let's drop some more of this down. Okay. Now, let's ditch this big brush. And let's use the little brush. I love watching unboxings. They're cool. It's like you're buying something without buying something. And I like doing unboxings when I haven't seen it. So, you know, something could go wrong. I could get the wrong order. All right, Jared. Thanks for stopping by, man. There we go. Yeah, that's right. Put some of that. Bring the darkness. Yeah. Let's make these details pop. Now, I gotta be careful with these that have the lines, because if it's too wet, it can grab on that line and take off with it. Yeah, not a big deal. It's not gonna have the correct effect, and I gotta go try to correct it. So we're probably gonna do those ones on the front with some watered down black paint, a little thicker. Okay, do that there. See if we can't make this look pretty darn good without having any equipment and stuff on there, which I'm not opposed to having equipment, but before I start customizing it, I want to see what these look like just right out of the box, right out of the bag. What color did the tank number panel, what color did you use for the tank number panel on the real color? Well, it's supposed to be yellow. So I started with Vallejo leather brown or chocolate brown, any brown, and then I added green ochre to lighten it up, and then I ended up finishing up with a yellow. You know, you got to mix it with those other colors so you only have to cover it like 4 times instead of 16. So we're going to go around this thing and here and this turret ring. God, these liners are so nice. It's just a cheap ass Hobby Lobby brush. But they hold more paint, so you don't have to go and dip it as often. Looks like this hatch is split, and this hatch is split. You got to get Americans in and out. We're not small people, whatever that means. Yeah, and if I get more of these, which is likely, I'm probably going to. I'll paint them for different units. They don't need to all be for the same unit. It's like it's an opportunity to, well, do 1/35th scale modeling, so to speak, just in a smaller scale. Then paint an edge on that, so these little vents will pop out from it. Let's go all the way around them, and all the way around the back too. Okay, we have a couple of straight lines here. Let's fill those in so they pop. Looking good, looking good. I see some tail lights there. Go around these little latches, or whatever they are. Now, I'm not going to drop a line across that because I think that is a gentle slope, so I don't want to accentuate that. I don't worry about stuff on the running gear. That stuff is like in the recesses anyways. Alright, what else do we need to do on the back? We need to go around this little hatch cover with this grating. Make it pop. Looking pretty good. Let's go to the front hatches up here. I got that Tamiya panel lining, and I bought it by accident. I realized it was an enamel product. I keep saying I'm going to return it, but I haven't. Man, I remember when back in the day I thought Tamiya paint was the shit. Because at that time, the only people that I knew about that were doing acrylics was Tamiya, which not. The only people that were doing water cleanup paints was Tamiya and Poly S. And our store carried both of them. We had a Pache airbrush that we used, and we would use the Tamiya paints, but I prefer stuff that is easy to brush paint and airbrush. And if I can have both with the same color, that's my preference. Whew. Let me look at the rear deck. I am going to drop a line across that because it looks like it's a separate plate. All right, who is that? My wife that just landed. Of course, she's an hour and a half away. Hurry, hide the whores! I'm kidding. I don't do anything that, I mean, she could be here. I don't act any different. I don't have a wild lifestyle. Sorry. Never did. And if I had to do it again, I probably wouldn't again. I hate when you surf for things on eBay. It's like, hey, buy it now for no. I was just looking, man. I'm so used to not having any notifications on my phone, and my wife was traveling. She's like, "How can I get a hold of you?" I said, "Okay, I'll put it on vibrate." But this method works pretty well for me. It's not perfect. But it's really relatively easy to do. Replicatable. The only thing I've added is this step. The black line washing I've added in the last 6 months or so. So there's a whole bunch of vehicles that I've done that I was happy with it until I did the black lining on some of the other ones. Line wash, really. It's not truly black lining. All right, I think that's good enough for the body. Turret time. Boy, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. First things first, there's a little latch, there's a little compartment back here where they keep their fill in the blank. All right. Go here and around this little rim. There's all kinds of little cool details that if you don't make those things pop, you're missing out on all this excitement that was put in here for your own enjoyment. And these things, I was surprised that they already came with the gun barrels drilled. I think I drilled it a little bit more. But that's good. I already had a divot to work with. Let's look at a preliminary shot. We won't have the 50 in there yet. Let's move this so we don't have a boo-boo. Le boo. working with you, not against you. See if auto makes it look more like what I'm actually seeing. No, not in this situation. There's so many little cool things on the top of that turret. What a cute little vehicle. A guy named Mindum Graves did the files for that M18, M15, and Jeep. James has license to print all his items. Wyndham Graves. I wonder if it's difficult to modify it. Like maybe there's somebody that made a file and there's something wrong with it. I mean, I'm not going to do that. That's outside my my skills. I'm just a simple painter. Now, let's get crazy. I thought you already were crazy. I am. But let's get it certified. Let's make this thing look super sexy. Because this one's already kind of painted. My tank crewman that gets passed around. Hey, I gotta get more to paint. This one's kicking back a lot. The brightness. Just auto. Yeah, baby. I'm really happy with this. I'm really happy with this. It's missing one thing though. Anybody know what it is? Two things. It's missing a name. And it's missing an antenna. Here's next to a Sherman. Which one is this one? Where did I pull this poor lad from? Thanks, Mark. I'm glad you enjoying it. Okay. I don't know if it'll fight worth a damn, but Hopefully, it doesn't end up looking like this. Whoops! Did I even show up? Ah, barely. Crispy critter. We don't want to do that. So I may give it a name. I don't think I'm going to do that right this second. I'm going to see. There's no visible antenna here. Let's see. Let's see where they would be. I don't see one here. It doesn't have to have one. It's just an opportunity to. I'm not going to put one on. It doesn't look like it's a prominent part of it. Okay, fair enough. Find out how to do it in 15 millimeter? Easy. Sometimes when things are smaller, they're easier to do. Up to a certain point. Up to a certain point. Up to a certain point. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Really happy with it. I'm not going to put license plate numbers, and that's just. And I like hand painting the numbers, even though technically they'd be stenciled. And you can buy little stencil things. I think it looks better hand painted. So does this have headlights and taillights? I think the taillight has like a little blocker. I may paint headlights on it just because I like how it looks. And besides, you're my lucky headlight charm person. Oh, here it is. Here's one. This one's showing, and that one's got the little blocker on it. Well, it looks like they're showing to me, so I'm going to paint them. You gotta make the stuff that's not the German stuff also look cool. Or everybody's gonna want to play one side. Now this is a perfect vehicle for a skirmish game because it's open topped, which means like, man, it's got a deadly gun on it. Yeah, well, just drop a mortar on it. You know, and then you got problems. This takes a mortar, an HE round on the top. You got problems. They have the best scale to work with there. Well, so the story of this scale happened like this. We used to make road trips in the late 80s, early 90s. And I live in a college town, or I don't anymore, but I live on the outskirts of that college town. And that everybody that I used to game with basically was transient. But back in the late 80s, early 90s, we'd take road trips to Tampa, which is about 2 hours away. And we'd go to this store called Emperor's Outpost. And they had, all kinds of wargaming stuff there. And I saw these figures. The Combat Miniatures one sculpted by my hero, Dave Alsop. um, which I didn't know anything about him other than I love his work. And he, I fell in love with the scale, and I mean, obviously, I grew up having MPC figures. I know there were Airfix figures, but in the United States they were called MPC. I never went to any hobby store that ever had any Airfix kits until much later. It was always MPC, which were the same molds, just rebranded. And I had the little figures, and I still do, a good chunk of them. And yeah, we're gonna have to touch that up because kind of hard to get in there. So it's natural for me to gravitate towards that scale, anyways. And 28 millimeter at the time didn't exist. And 15 millimeter for World War II didn't exist either, really. Old Glory was the first ones that were coming out with it. And they were just teaming up with Command Decision to do that stuff in the late 80s. But their vehicles looked sloppy. They looked like melted-ish sometimes. I mean, if a vehicle has sharp edges, that just should be sharp, not roundy, And that just always turned me off from them. And those, I think, were done in combination with Skytrex. I want to say Skytrex and Old Glory combined to do that. But so it was really a matter of, if you wanted to do skirmish, you did 20 millimeter or micro armor. Which I had micro armor, and micro armor. The problem with micro armor is infantry it's done at a scale that the infantry just isn't interesting. The things that the infantry is going through are like they're like a side. They're just like a little side hustle. Nobody really cares about what's going on with them on that scale. And I wanted something that was infantry centric. In other words, when you threw a grenade and it didn't land where you wanted to, that's when the party started. I wanted it to simulate that kind of stuff. So that's what I like, and it's not for everybody, but it is for me. And if there was some rule passed where you could not do this scale, I'd probably do, I know this sounds crazy, I might actually do 1/35th and game with it. Because I would do 1/35th actually before I would do 28 millimeter. I'm not a 28 millimeter fan. I'm just not. But yeah, I like this. It's hey, we need a car. All right, take a Matchbox car. Now it's not exactly the same scale, but it's close enough for me. It's 1/64th. Most of them are 1/64th. Okay, that'll work. The figures are a little on the large size anyway, so it's not that outlandish. It is a playing piece. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm ecstatic with this little bastard. This thing looks great. Oh, we still got seats. Well, we will, yeah, we're not going to do that just yet. Okay, we're going to, God, they actually might be OD colored. Man, this thing looks good. And I can't even tell. The lines I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. I was so worried about it, and it's like, not a problem. And the material makes up for the fact that it has lines. It is just, I don't have to worry about this barrel breaking. There's enough bendy in it. I don't know what it is. It's a good material. It's a great material. Fastest track vehicle of the Second World War, supposedly. Okay. Diecast. Time for some Nazi bastards. Backyard gaming. I hear you there on the Old Glory. Not a big fan of their products. I do like some of their stuff. So Dave Alsop, supposedly the backstory is he put together Old Glory with another guy, and he was one of their sculptors. And the 15 millimeter Some of the 15 millimeter Napoleonic ranges were sculpted by Dave Alsop, and they're incredible looking. And I can tell he has a certain style that his figures are done in that I really, really like. So he has like Austrians and French and stuff, and I'll go through them. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's an Alsop sculpt, and I just like the way they look. I like the panache that he does with them. Okay, I'm not going to get bogged down in the extra tracks right now. So this is what I do. I airbrushed and I'm not a master airbrusher and never will be. Okay, it's just it's a way to get around certain things. So I did the base color. Is there any of it showing? Well, it's all black, of course. Then I did the base color, 3-color camouflage, and did the Agrax Earthshade, is what it used to be called. It's now the Strong Tone Wash. Bam, we're here. So what do we do now? Well, I'm going to take the same color again. It's actually the Dunkelgelb Mid-War. It's the one I use for the highlighting, and we're going to do a light dry brush over everything. And what that's going to do is it's going to soften this edge. So this camouflage, when it hits this edge, will kind of disappear a little bit. And that's just how I like it to look. It looks more worn in. It also makes it not stand out as much. And we're going to do the same thing with the gray one, except we're going to use the base gray for it instead of this. And that used to be a way to fix the errors I did in airbrushing, but I only had 2 instances in this batch where I had that happen. It only happened on me twice. So I'm getting better. It's slow, but and I don't need to. I could hand paint that, you know. As a matter of fact, a lot of the German vehicles were hand painted. This we need to really get almost all the way out. And, of course, we're going to start somewhere where it's not as critical. Just like that. People used to say, man, I like your painting, but it's too dark. Why is it so dark? I said, because we're gaming in crappy light. Okay, like I have like the perfect light to paint in. And if you go anywhere else that's dull, yeah, it doesn't look right. But if you look under my light conditions or outside, it has the right level of brightness. Thank you, Otlight. And LEDs that this wonderful ex-owner put in this house. He did a superb job of keeping everything bright. And we've not done pin washes on this yet, so I do the brown wash because it adds some depth there, the lived-in look. And not every one of them looks the same either. But we're just basically just hitting edges. Really lightly. I really like the look of a Panzer III. It is just, it's an attractive vehicle. As long as it's got the little basket here. If it doesn't have that compartment, it looks weird. It looks really, really weird. Not quite as weird as the 1939 markings for the Germans. You know, just a white cross. So what is the Swiss are coming and they're here? No, I don't like that. The ubiquitous little wooden block that the jack sits on. I don't leave my jacks camouflaged either. I like, it's an opportunity to get something to pop, so I paint them black and, you know, I make them like they're gunmetal. Even though most of the time they probably were painted. It's just an opportunity to add some color to an otherwise drab vehicle. And then we'll do the same thing with the turret. This is just a die cast pre-painted. I ended up getting these for like $5 a piece at an estate sale. Bunch of pens with 3Ls. And I've painted 3 of them. I think this is the last 2. Yeah, so there's all these little corners that, this is one of the reasons the Germans lost their war. They overcomplicated stuff. But it does look really cool. That's what I always like to say. One of the reasons the Germans lost the war. Overcomplicated shit. No, so what the Germans would do is they would get a lot of feedback from the crews and make modifications in the middle of a production run, which was good for the crews, but it's bad because it affected how many of these vehicles they were able to produce. One of the many things that affected how many of these vehicles they were able to produce. Who's in a hurry? Look at the bright side. You get the model 10 years longer than I will. Well, assuming that we live to be the same age. I'm ready to retire, man. I got all this to do all day long. I hope I get to retire one day. A couple of months ago, I just hit 30 years where I'm at. And one of my least favorite things I like this is your opportunity to go ahead and say it, that I hate hearing is, hey, you should be able to retire by now. It doesn't work that way. I don't have a pension. I know that's a long time, but you got to work somewhere. Why hop around and change jobs? If I hop around and change jobs, I would just do something totally different. Like, I quit my job. Why? Because now I can paint tanks full time. Yeah, okay. Only in Europe where your medicine is covered for you. So yeah, in about 2 years since I've been doing these, since I've gotten back to these, I've got over 100 vehicles painted. Maybe even over 150. A lot. And I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed getting back into the Second World War. There's so much stuff that's available now that wasn't available 20 years ago as far as reference material and websites and I think that's where we're going to leave that at. It looks, and we still have the black pin washing to do, decals, weathering, a couple little scratches. The scratches work really well when you have camouflage vehicles because they'll go through like the base color. But I don't do the chipping. I think it looks odd. When I did 1/35th scale modeling, chipping didn't exist. James says, I have the life of Riley. Build and paint tanks and play a World of Warcraft? Is that what that is? I'm not allowed to play that anymore. I haven't played that in almost 20 years. My wife's, I can't come right now. I'm waiting on a boat. But I do stuff like that. I mean, it's just not a. I'll play State of Decay or Borderlands or something to. This is therapeutic. The gaming is just fun. Gaming isn't therapeutic. That's what it is. I was holding it too close. I'm a shitty photographer, and that's okay. Damn, that looks good. World of Warships. You play World of Warships too? Woohoo! I just got Bismarck this morning. I've spent no money on it. And no money. I know Bismarck's not the best ship, but hell, I had one when I was a kid. I had the old Airfix model. It was MPC. I loved it. I was just always fascinated. That was one of the first things that got me on it. But finally, somebody that plays World of Warships. Hallelujah. Where you been all my life? No, I play that every morning. I play it for a little bit. Spent zero money on it. Because then you can walk away and feel okay. You know? Any game you can play for free, I play for free. Now let's do the German vehicle and bring it up to speed the same way. We're going to use the base gray that we used for that. Yeah, and I'm hopping around all over the place. I'm playing all the ships. I can say I'm not very good, but I'm better than a lot of people. But that doesn't mean anything. There's just, I'm gonna play the way it makes sense. Like I know if you look at tips how to do good, you always got to go end against somebody. That's illogical. That's no. You got to like put more guns to bear, and the rest of it is just random number generation garbage, right? But that keeps me from building ships because I had a ton of 1/2400 scale ships, and the fact that I can play that and I play it on the Xbox because it's easy to turn on and off, on the Xbox Series X, whatever the hell it's called. It looks really good on the computer, but I pretty much use the computer as mainly as a camera for you guys. That's it. I don't really game on it, but it looks really good on the computer. But it's still just as hokey. But yes, sir. Since it became public, I go on Hoghead 1. Hoghead is a nickname for locomotive engineers. I had a nickname that I used forever, and something happened with Xbox Live, and it was still I didn't use it for like 3 months, and my credit card that was linked to, like, it ended up getting like replaced like by another one, so the number was wrong, and they basically said like they froze my name. My handle used to be Coco Loco for a long time, and it's hard to use a handle because I'm used to using my real name for everything because I don't really want to hide that people know who I am. Not that I want to be famous or anything, but it's like, it's just too complex. So, but I don't usually talk to anybody. I don't even talk to anybody on there. The other day I wanted to my brother likes to argue, and I don't play with him. He's not a good sport, and he doesn't play that game anyways. But this is therapeutic. The other thing is just fun. Now, I don't know how this gray is going to work. This is my first time actually using the MIG gray. I've always used the German gray so I'm going to try it on a tiny spot. If I'm not 100% sold on it, then I'm going to dry brush this with the gray that I use from Vallejo. Nah, I'm okay with this. It's just so darn watery. So let's do a test. Let's do a test where this sand camo goes over the gray, and when I fade it off, what it looks like. Some of the ships I really dislike playing, and some of them are just, but it's a hokey game, but it's fun enough to see, My daughter says, I don't mind you playing that because it's, like relaxing. Well, we like things of the ocean, so at the end of the day, am I even doing anything? Maybe. I really enjoyed playing the Scharnhorst a lot, even though its version has a 15-inch guns. The one you get for free, you can buy the 11-inch gun one, but I don't use real money. Those four stacker U.S. light cruisers are incredible. Omaha and stuff, they can just put out so much fire that they're just fun. You know, the reason that game is fun is because when I used to play naval combat, we used to play a game called Siegfried 4, and you had to do range estimation. And that game has range estimation in it. You have to like lead the target, and that's what makes it interesting. The rest of it is just it's a hokey game, but I don't know. There's that I just have that. I like the range estimation part of it. And it was I had a hard time getting comfortable with that game. Like it took me a long time. I mean, this game is really hard, and it is. You know, there's some folks that are really good at stuff, but there's just some stuff I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna like hide behind a freaking island and like bump up against the island or take a battleship that's going full speed in reverse. I'm pretty sure there was no major vessel that in a naval battle was in reverse in any conflict of the First or Second World War. I'm pretty confident that's, you know, hold on while I go in reverse, you know? Um, well, it's a hokey game to get you to spend real money on it, you know? The game that I was on that I have that was before it was even published that's naval is called Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, and that's actually a really intense game. But there's no range estimation to it. You just kind of you give the guy orders, and yeah, you can finagle like different targets and stuff like that. But it doesn't have the range estimation part of it that I think is really attractive. You're up to 257 ships. You're not good at all. It doesn't matter. You enjoy it. Yeah, and that's when I first started wargaming. So I'm a lot more knowledgeable about ships than pretty much anything else. I'm probably the most ignorant about aircraft because I haven't played a lot of aircraft games. Um, 257 ships. Yeah, I got like 70 or something like that. And you'll get some paint scheme like, oh, let me see what the special paint scheme is for this one. I'm like, yeah, I'm not running with that. You know, these hokey ass paint schemes. These people, these people going around with a ship that's got orange camouflage. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. That's hokey. I don't think this is going to work. I don't think this is going to work. Let's go to German gray. Mmm. A different shade. Let me rethink if this isn't going to work first. And here's the coat. Here's the coating that goes up one. It's lightened up. It's called light gray base, which there's none of this on here. This was just the gray base one. Yeah, the computer one has a bunch of other ships that didn't have it. Like you can play like Spanish ships. I'm like, that's cool, you know. But I have very limited space on my computer hard drive to begin with. So I've wanted to try to play the War Thunder. The War Thunder just is like maybe on computer it's okay, but the interface on the console is like it's very clunky. Now the tank combat's pretty cool because you can get like their hit locations and see who takes it in the face and stuff like that when the round penetrates. I like all that stuff, but now the molds for this is interesting. This is a die-cast model, and whoever got a hold of these molds, they molded the inside of the hatch for the Panzer III as the outside. So if you look at it, there's actually like there's like two of the bumper things that would have, so you don't bang your head in when the hatch is closed. So, and this is a solid piece, so that you can't just like, okay, well, let me just unglue it, cut it out, and flip it. You can't do that. So I've just like, all right, well, I'm not going to paint it rubber. I'm not going to accentuate the fact that this is 180 degrees wrong, but it's just interesting how that error manifests itself. But really happy with that. Need to learn how to make German Panzer Gray look faded. So when I did 1/35th scale modeling, there was none of this blue hue to Panzer Gray, which is Panzer Gray, and that was it. So what I've been doing, let's see if I can pull one of these out that I think is looks relatively good. How about a Czech 38? Of course, the Czech 38, this does not have any black lining. So if I redid it with the way I'm doing it, I'd have to come back in and the black line washing, black pin wash, I should say. And it's really a light pin wash. You take the photo from far away, because what's happening is the camera is actually darkening. So what I ended up doing is I ended up doing Panzer Gray, or Vallejos calls it German Gray, overall. Gave it the brown wash. Then dry brushed back over with the German Gray. And then to give it a little bit of a blue, I mixed Luftwaffe uniform in with some of that German Gray. And that gave it a little bit of a blue tint that I'm happy with. Cute little riveted Joker. This is a Plastic Soldier Company one. And yeah, I like it. It's got a little bit of a blue tint to it. It's not crazy blue. And yeah, they're all faded. Here's one of the here's a Panzer III by them. And there's some different hues in there. I'm happy with how they look. Something's wrong with their Panzer IIIs though. Their turret is just like weird. It's just weird looking. Their barrel looks extra short, and their turret looks extra tall. See if that makes any sense to you. Their turret looks like it has too much of a slope on it, and their barrel just looks like the length of a 37. So, although technically a 37 is actually longer than the 50, because the 50 is an L42, the 37 is an L45, I want to say. So proportionally, the 37 is longer. But a 42 is not. I mean, the Sherman is the Sherman 75 is a 40 caliber. Is a 40 caliber gun. This is a 42 caliber gun, so it's technically, but just something's wrong with it. I can't put my finger on what it is. It's almost like it's too tall in the back or something. But anyways, paints up okay. I need to see the Panzer 4Ds in action. This one of them? No. Yes? No? Yes. Yeah, this thing needs a pin wash. Make it pop even more. This is the one I modified. This is a Panzer 4D by Armor Fast, which lack a lot of detail. And Yeah, I added some spare parts to it to doctor it up some. So it's basically devoid of a lot of stuff. Yeah, it just needs a pin. That's the problem with it. I did the pin wash. Oh, it looks even better. Crap, now I got to go redo all my vehicles. Well, you know, it's kind of a fun thing to do. Could be worse. Vehicles could be getting worse as I'm doing it. Anyhow, I'm happy with how they look. So, yeah, it just looks weird. It looks good on this one. It looks weird on that. You're not a tank gamer. I don't like trying to kill Formula One racers. They go too fast, not realistic. Yeah. Yeah, really happy with this though. Okay, well I'm going to sign off. I got to do some things over before the wife comes in and tells me what I didn't do. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. So fun hanging out with you guys this weekend, and we'll be back for more. See you, folks.